On today's Fixing Bugs and Stuff, we're going to work on the front firewall. Okay, I'm going to start taking off these spot welds that you can see here. You can do it from the back, or you can do it from here. But what I'll do first is I'll mark them. It's kind of hard to see, people paint it over. So I'll mark them. This is just a whiteout pen. Basically, you can scrape this stuff off. Okay, now I'll do the other side here, which will be these uppers, which will be these upper guys here. You can see them. I'll mark these. So the intent is to take this part of the panel off and then expose this whole sheet metal. The sheet metal underneath, expose this whole thing, and make some cuts the way I need it. So that'll be next. Okay, after I drill out the spot welds, you can pry this out. There's no big deal, it just came right out actually. So this gray area here you see, that's bare metal. So it seems like they spot weld everything and then they, I don't know if they dip it or spray it. But that's what that is. So this is just a prep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this guy, put him inside and see what it looks like. All right, so we're looking at the front firewall here. I'm going to put up the piece that I took off just as a test fit. It goes right in here. It's a little tight. Shove it in there. Yeah, that'll work fine. It's not perfect at the moment. We'll take a closer look. Okay, as you can see, there's some metal right there. So I might have to come down a little bit more. Not that much. It's a little bit of adjustment, but right there, it feels good right there. So that lines up. I'll need to put that in your face. That lines up there with the edge of the other piece. So it's gonna be some adjustments to get it right. First, I want to use this arc as a reference point. I don't want to cut it up that far. This is just surface rust. It's not bad until you get down to here. Then this starts to get bad metal. This is just surface rust. Get closer. You can get it out. I believe this stuff is rusted. It's rusted too, but it's just poor metal. I can bend it back and forth with my fingernail. It's not strong at all. So let me start there, going across here, cut, and then see what I get. Do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna have to go a little higher, but we'll see. So let me mark that first. So right now I'm marking where I want to cut. Did a line here, but I'm just gonna do one about here. So I may cut this way, then come down, go around and slowly cut this out. This seems to be all good metal, except for kind of right in this area. So let's do that first. Okay, as you can see here, I cut up the front firewall. What I cut was rotted portion that was all rusted out. So it was rusted out here, so I cut it straight here, went along. This was all rotten out. I didn't even keep the pieces to show you, but I kept this area. This area luckily was clean, so this is helpful. We're going to use this as our starting point, and then it keeps going down. Then I cut this straight, cut along here, try to get rid of all of the rust. And so far you can see it has this is primer here, which is good. So this sheet metal, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it from here down, because that's all I need. If you look here, I don't need much. All I need is the left side and the right side on the panel. So the easiest thing for me to do is cut it, not on this panel, cut this panel here all the way across, and then I'll match it up against here. I will outline the pieces that I need and go from there. Okay, I cut this piece off here, right at this edge here, as you saw earlier. And now I just have this long piece to install. And I can show you how flimsy it is. I mean, it's a tiny sheet metal. It's really kind of flimsy, you can see there. And having a sheet metal, it's not what gives it strength. It's this guy that gives it strength. Once it's all bent like that, that's what's really holding on to the chassis or the floor pan. So this guy is very important. So at this point, I'm going to match this up here as best I can. And then I'm going to put some vice grips. Then I'm going to mark it, and then I'll cut it. Okay, this panel, I'm going to cut a little piece out so I can fit it up correctly. So what I'll do here is I'll cut about here and here, kind of like a big chunk. I'll cut about that much off, and I can still mate it up to here, as long as I follow the contour of this circle here. So that's very helpful as a template. So if I follow that, I can make this up properly. So let me cut this little piece out and show you what's next. Okay, as you can see, I kind of held it up there. I cut this piece here in the middle. So right now, I have it up there, and I followed the contour of this. I can put my hand on it. It's pretty flush with the other metal. And the same thing on this side. It's pretty flush there as well, if you follow it. So it'll fit nicely. At this point, I'm going to make sure everything's good, still straight, and I will go on the back side. This area back here is kind of tight to get in here, but I'm gonna try. So if you can see the new plate here, what I'll do is I'll trace along here, and this is what I'm cutting out. I don't know if you can see it better. It does follow the contour. So all I need to do is trace it and cut it. That's what I need to do next. Then weld it in, and it should be good to go. Okay, I traced it on the back side there. If you can see, my pen kind of exploded, so it kind of went kaboom. But I'm gonna follow this line. Just a little dripping. I'm gonna follow this line, cut it as best as possible, as close as possible, and then I'm going to fit it up. So that's what's next. Okay, as you can see, I cut this piece here, this little bit. This is where I'm going to weld. I was using the cutting wheel, and the cutting wheel got a little bit away from me here. So it's a larger gap than I want it to be. But we can always fill that in or add metal. Not a big deal. So what I'm gonna do now is I will weld up this side and then grind it down to make it look nice. And then I'll do the other side, same thing. So that'll be the next thing I need to do. Just weld, grind, and clean, and that's gonna look pretty good. Okay, as you can see, I installed or welded these panels onto the left, to the right. I did not clean up the welds too much, since you're not gonna see it behind this panel here. So what I'm gonna do now, I'll just set this panel up here. It may hold, I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna line it up. I'm gonna line it up to this radius here. It's a little bit of a loop, it's not bad. This is what you want, you don't want it too tight. So, hold on 1 second, let me get the clamps. Okay, put the clamp on there, it's in the center. I'll line it up with the contour here. Actually, you can just line it up with the plates or the sheet metal that I put in. So I lined up pretty good. You can actually see that some of the holes actually line up with the plate that goes all the way through for the spot welds. So it worked out nicely. At this point, I'm gonna have to take this down and start cleaning up the edges. Now this is a tight spot here, so I really can't film what I'm doing, but I'm trying to show you every step of the way. It gets a little difficult. So let me take this down and start cleaning up. Okay, I cleaned up the areas where I'm going to be welding. I'm going to stick the panel up here on this here, and then I'm going to spot weld just the top. The bottom I'm going to leave because it's flexible. It can go in and out, and so with that being in and out, it's I want to be sure when I mate both of the chassis and the body together, I want to make sure that this is sitting correctly. I don't want to weld to the side here because then that'll make it kind of permanent. Where with this, if I just weld up here, this whole panel does flex in and out pretty easily. So that's why I won't weld to the side, but I'll definitely weld it to the top. No problem there. Okay, at this point, I kind of clean up the rust. As you can see my welds. I know this side looks kind of funky with the welds, but somehow I misjudged cutting the metal. So it goes to show you that if you make mistakes, you can correct it. No big deal. But anyway, I painted it. It's ready to go. The paint that I use is meant for welding. It has zinc in it, so you can weld to it. So we're gonna let this dry for like a good 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get to welding. Okay, so it's installed. What I did was I spot welded all up here. I went spot welded down here. This guy here, you can see a little bit of a gap, so it really doesn't line up with the plate, which is fine. All this does is just covers behind the Napoleon hat. As you can see here, the Napoleon hat sits here. That metal here sits behind it. That's why I wanted to leave this loose, because once we make the body with the chassis, a lot of times this gets in the way. It'll stick forward and the chassis is not going on properly and you're getting frustrated, and come to find out it's just this little area. So once I put the chassis and the body together, I can push this out, and then either I can weld it then like that, or just mark it and weld it later. So yeah, all this stuff moves back and forth. It's because I didn't spot weld it here just yet. I mean, the holes are there, you can spot weld it, but I just want to give myself some flexibility in this, because this sometimes can be difficult when you put the body and chassis together. So just a little tip and trick there. Hopefully this video helps you out. Don't worry, you can measure as best you can, put it in. You can do this. It's not hard. Again, if you guys can please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.